All righty, good. I got it. My microphone is not working at the moment, so good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get the meeting started this evening for the Board of Education, September 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at Frederick School. I need a call to order with a roll call, please.
Mack.
Here.
Braden.
Here.
Nash. Absent. Halverson.
Here.
Hune.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
And Weedman.
Here.
Okay, that's quorum. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, need a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay.
Miller.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Halverson.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
And Hune.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Public comments, do we have public comment? Yes? One public comment? If you want to go ahead to that microphone over there, there should be a button. Hopefully that one is working. Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, it's working. Great. Awesome. All right. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ana Amelia Barca, and I'm the parent of students in the dual language program at Avon Center School. I truly value the district's commitment to bilingualism, and I'm deeply grateful for the many wonderful teachers who have enriched my children's Spanish language learning with their knowledge and diversity. But I'm here tonight because of a serious concern. My children and many others in the program have yet to receive structured English literacy instruction. They are not being taught phonics, grammar, or foundational skills in a systematic way, which are absolutely necessary to achieve biliteracy. When I learned that Grace Lake District 46 offered dual language, I moved here so my children could benefit. I want them to grow up bilingual, biliterate, and be prepared for the future. But since 2020, my eldest has not had a single English literacy lesson with clear goals. Instead, English instruction is scattered, there is no written plan, and no clear guidance for teachers. Teachers themselves lack the clarity about language allocation, and there is no systematic English instruction in classrooms. The only exposure students get to English is in specials, art, PE, and music, with the exception of 4th grade math and science or social studies. When I asked if phonics or literacy skills were explicitly being taught during these English blocks, the answer was no. Every year, I have asked for clarity, and the only response I receive is that my children will learn, yet there is no actual plan. No one knows it, not the teachers, not the parents, and not even the previous director. Let me be clear. Living English learners with only unstructured English time and specials, time that is geared specifically towards language acquisition, does not follow the guiding principles of dual language education. Those principles call for systematic, explicit, and intentional instructions in both languages, including literacy development with clear goals. Specials may reinforce language, but they cannot replace structured English literacy instruction. And I must ask, are these special teachers providing the English instruction even ESL endorsed as required by the law? If not, our students are missing trained support in language acquisition. These classes also have no language outcomes, no goals for speaking, listening, reading, or writing. Are they aligned with WIDA guidelines? If not, this English time is not true instruction, and students are being denied the literacy support that they are entitled to under state and federal law. Let's switch places for a second. Let's imagine this meeting was in Spanish and everything around us was in Spanish. I will assume you don't speak the language. Now your children are the language learners. You know colleges and jobs require Spanish fluency, so you send them to school to gain fluency in Spanish to prepare them for college and future careers. But instead of receiving structured lessons in reading and writing, they only hear Spanish occasionally in art, music, or gym. Without structured support, goals, and measurable outcomes, would they be ready for AP courses, competitive colleges, or high-demand careers? This is the reality that our students are facing today. Without structure, they are being set up to struggle and not thrive. Therefore, I respectfully and urgently request that the board take immediate action to ensure that students receive structured literacy instruction in both English and Spanish, phonics, reading, writing, and comprehension through a written plan aligned with dual language standards. Guarantee daily structured English instruction beginning in early grades with clear goals and measurable outcomes. Provide teachers with training and resources to deliver biliteracy instruction. Monitor progress in biliteracy using consistent assessment and accountability measures. Be transparent with families and share the plan publicly. Thank you for your commitment to ensuring access and opportunity for every student in this district.
Thank you very much for sharing your public comment. And just so you're aware too, the board takes the public comments and is able to go back and investigate and follow up, and then we will follow up with you on those comments. Thank you for sharing that this evening. Appreciate it. Okay, that moves us to the section of our agenda this evening for board reports. I'll start down on this end. Mr. Weidman? Mrs. Miller?
I have a few actually. So a year ago, I shared that I'm working on the Citizens Advisory Group for the IDOT, the Illinois Department of Transportation's health study, when they were looking at the Route 120 corridor from 60 and Almond Road. So the last time we met was in July of '24. We just met again beginning of August. I wanted to just give you an update because I think it impacts our Prairie View and Woodview students most. So the IDOT came back with about 39 alternatives, options for reducing traffic congestion and then also increasing safety. And what was interesting, the conversation that the CAG had talked about how widening roads actually induces traffic. It provides a temporary relief, but then it increases traffic unless it's part of a larger suite of plans. So that impacts our students because there are 3 hazardous crossings in that corridor. And if the IDOT comes back with an option that we asked for, which would be some combination of increased pedestrian and walking paths, then it could, hopefully, make it a little safer for our Prairie View and Woodview students. If not, that additional traffic might warrant some of our attention. So I wanted to give you a little update on that. The second area is the Community Engagement Committee met for our first annual meeting. And if you're not familiar with that, that's the committee that brings PTO and key volunteers together. Mr. Mack and I started that during the pandemic. So we had our first meeting, and I wanted to thank Dr. Lorenzo because she came and gave us a beautiful and very comprehensive overview of the early childhood program. And as she was telling us about that program, something surprised me, and I just wanted to hold you and your team up. Apparently, the program has doubled in size in the last 10 years with only 2 additional full-time staff. So that's pretty impressive, especially given some of the accolades that she's gotten over the years. So just want to thank you again for helping us understand the importance of that, especially because it's our youngest and most vulnerable or most at-risk students. And then also not so happy, Woodview's outdoor learning classroom. Someone decided to smash the pumpkins and the melons and cut up some of the corn that was planted by our littles at the end of last school year. They were looking forward to harvesting that. So if there's anything you can think of that might help us brainstorm some solutions for that, just to make it more clear in the gardens themselves that this is the work of our little hands, our people, and they were pretty disappointed from what I understand. So just something to be aware of. That's my board report.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Ms. Hugh?
Thank you. I have a few items, actually. I wanted to report that this weekend I'm going to be attending the Consortium of State School Boards Associations Conference in Washington, D.C. There I'm going to be trained as an advocate to share the stories about how legislation and funding have real specific impacts on our district and on our students and families. And I wanted to thank Dr. Glickman and Ms. Palser and Dr. Lorenzo for putting together some specific stories that I can share with our elected representatives in Washington about how funding and legislation will affect us directly here in D46.
I also wanted to share that last week I attended an internet safety event with Jesse Weinberger at Grays Lake North High School. This was done at both North and Central for students and then parents. I went to the event at North High School, and we were there for 3 hours, going over a lot of the concerns and challenges with children and the internet. And I thought it was very helpful information. I know Dr. Glickman shared this information with our D46 families. I don't know how many of them were able to attend, but it struck me as I was listening to a lot of this information that it would be helpful for parents of younger children to know about some of these concerns. For many of the things we talked about, the concern was more with younger children. There's a lot of other concerns for teens. But I know this kind of information has been shared with families in the past, and I believe that there's plans to share some updated information about new concerns in the future, so I appreciate that. And then lastly, I wanted to share that on Wednesday, September 10th, at the College of Lake County, there's a community cares fair. This is going to bring together about 40 different organizations, nonprofits, some government organizations, to share information about resources that they have available for people in the community. And this event will also provide those organizations with an opportunity to recruit volunteers. So it kind of helps people who are who need help right now, and then also for people who have time and a desire to help their neighbors, they'll be able to connect with them as well. And that's on September 10th from 3 to 7 at the College Lake County.
Ms. Halverson?
No report at this time.
Ms. Braden?
No report tonight.
Okay, the only thing, I've got a couple things to share, just timing, as we are engaged now in the superintendent search for the replacement superintendent for our wonderful Dr. Glickman. We have 2 upcoming focus groups. They're both happening tomorrow, currently. 3:45 p.m. is the staff focus group that will be here in the Falcon Room at Frederick School, and then later in the evening at 6:30 p.m. is the community focus group, in which we invite members of the community to come in and share questions that are going to be asked and things that they would like to know with our representatives from the consulting group for our search firm. So those 2 important things with the superintendent search. And that's all I have. I will hand it over to Dr. Glickman for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Well, first I want to welcome, do we have a couple of students in the house? Are you students? Yeah? Where are you coming from? Central. Well, we're really glad you're here. We hope you enjoy our meeting. If you have any questions at the end, we'll be happy to talk with you. Okay, but welcome. Absolutely. We finished off our back-to-school nights last week and got some really great feedback on them. So the year is off and running. Back-to-school nights are done, right? So the school year is really on its way. And then I wanted to mention some things regarding our construction planning. Construction planning is ongoing, and a number of us are invested in a lot of time right now in planning for our upgraded libraries that will, some of the work being done this upcoming summer. So there have been a lot of design meetings as recently as today. Who on the table was at meetings all day today? Yes, we were. So if you were reaching out to us, that's where we were today, visiting. We had a little caravan and some sharing of cars going from building to building at 4 schools today, looking at carpet swatches and paint and lots of fantastic opportunities. So we're really looking forward to sharing that with you, board. At our October board meeting, we'll have Wold coming out with lots of things for you to look at then. We're also embarking on hiring a construction manager, a CM, and I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Wildman to talk about that.
Thank you. We have begun the process of selecting a construction management firm through a request for qualifications, or RFQ. Under Illinois law, professional services like architects and construction managers are chosen based on qualifications and experience, not low bid. So here's how the processes will work. The district has issued publicly an RFQ inviting interested construction management firms to submit their qualifications. This was released on September 2nd. Submissions are due at 5 p.m. on September 19th. An administrative Selection Committee will review the submissions, interview finalists, and determine the most qualified firm. The committee will then make a recommendation to the Board of Education. Once the firm is selected, administration and the construction manager will manage the day-to-day work of planning and construction. The board will continue to oversee the process through budget approvals, project updates, and any major scope changes. In short, the board governs and authorizes while the administration and the CM firm execute the work. This ensures that we follow Illinois law, protect transparency, and select the partner best qualified to manage the projects of this size and importance.
Thank you. All right, and then I'm going to hand this over to Leslie Armstrong, who's going to share with you, board, the plans that are in place to be communicating with our community about this work.
Good evening, Board. To ensure transparency with our internal and our community stakeholders, we have created a communications plan to include updates on our Maintaining Excellence Moving Forward webpage that we have set up, also through our district newsletter, our social media, and with the press.
Thank you so much. All right, and that is it for the superintendent's report tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, we have the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight, which also includes the personnel addendum that was shared with us earlier this evening.
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay, any comments? Okay.
Braden,
Aye.
Hune,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda is approved. We do not have any action items listed for this evening. So we're going to move along to a couple of updates that we have on the unfinished business portion of the agenda. First up is the summer facilities update. Yes.
All right. While Mr. Zires is walking up, I want to mention to you, board, that having seen both of these reports, the facilities update and the technology update, I can tell you that they're both pretty brief and concise because both of these team members are skilled at being brief and concise. But I want to make sure you understand that the work was robust. An enormous amount of work happened this summer. You're seeing kind of, you know, a high-level view of it, but an enormous amount of time went into each and every one of these projects. All right, Jose Zires, please take it away.
Good evening, members of the board, administration, staff, and community. Tonight, I'll be providing an update on the summer capital projects completed across our district. Before we get into the projects, I want to ground us in our mission. That is, empowering learners, creating equity, and cultivating community. That mission drives how we prioritize capital dollars, safe, healthy, and equitable learning environments that help every student and staff member thrive. Our facilities work is guided by our district values and strategic plan. We believe in inspiring and empowering learners, honoring integrity and respect, and collaborating to make decisions based on consensus. In facilities, our goal is to review and expand the master facilities plan annually to create equitable and high-quality learning environments and to align decisions to district goals. Each year, we carry out reoccurring tasks to ensure the safety and sustainability of our facilities. This includes health, life safety inspections, and with the Regional Office of Education, along with preventive maintenance on our major systems and ongoing training for our operations maintenance and staff in safety initiatives and protocols. We begin with Frederick School. This year we installed a new concrete pad on the exterior of their receiving area, along with replacing 2 chillers that were beyond their time. So much needed. A lot of, I believe half the circuit or half the unit was working at the end of time. And all of these projects were, along with the help of GHA, came down to getting done in completion, and everybody's enjoying a nice cool evening here. Also at Frederick, we installed a new asphalt pavement for Gaga Pit. The kids enjoy the Gaga Pit. I have no idea how they play the game. All I can see is a bunch of little kids playing inside. But it was brought to our attention because the kids, when it rains or gets moist, gets muddy, they're not able to enjoy the Gaga Pit per se, and it keeps them really busy and engaged. So they asked us for an answer, and what we decided was to put an asphalt ground pad. And then the first slide, you'll see a number of us partook in using the excavator. And on day 2 of his employment, James, our new facility manager, got to run the excavator. Moving on to Grays Lake Middle School, we had 2 new boilers installed to replace end-of-life equipment, along with also renovating. We moved on to renovating the art room, which had never been renovated before. This included all the cabinets, the plumbing, new stainless steel sinks, and most important, the flooring. The flooring was horrendous, unfortunately. So the best answer and less maintenance and decent, nice product was to remove the tile and seal the concrete. So it was polished and sealed, which made it look really nice at the end. Avon had new flooring installed, replacing the old carpet, but the LVT tile was installed, and along with much needed. And another thing that we did was the 2 condensing units on the outside of the school needed a fence installed around them because some individuals found it fun to turn off the units on the weekends for some reason. So we'd come in on Monday mornings, we'd hear complaints about things being nice and warm during the summer, and so we wanted to make sure that this would stop. So new fencing was added. Prairie View School had also a new chiller installed to replace end-of-life equipment. This chiller served the most of the classroom areas at the building, so much needed replacement. The other thing we did was had over 300 feet of an 8-foot fence installed in the playground area. This would help replace a 4-foot fence, which is pretty, it was in bad shape, but also was not keeping all the balls inside the play area. And what would happen is the kids would go behind the fence and pick up the balls, but along with that would bring a tick or 2 with them. So we wanted to end that. So what we did was add that fence around the perimeter, and also added 4 feet of gravel track to keep the vegetation away from the fence. Also to stop the keep the vegetation at bay. Everything along the pond in the back of Prairie View grows like crazy. It can be dry and it'll grow really fast. So Park Campus, moving on to Park Campus here, we had that infamous RTU unit replaced. Had many leaks. We'd have to add gas to it just to keep it going. Finally had its last year with us. Much needed replacement. That equipment was replaced and ready to go. Now it's a little too cold sometimes, so it's doing its job. Another thing we did was the outdoor learning space. Actually, that's something that you already know, but we're just finishing. Now we have to keep up with the vegetation and keeping it going. So in summary, this summer's work focused completely on unfinished products, ensuring clean and safe learning environments and supporting sustainability. Looking ahead, we will continue working proactively with administration, Premstar, and Wold Architects to update our long-range facility plan and ensure our facilities meet the needs of our students, staff, and the community. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
I just have one, and you may or may not know the answer. The age of the old chillers that we had taken out versus obviously the new one, what change in efficiency came with those? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know that as far as efficiency rating, they might be certain stages as far as operations are concerned. It's very hard to explain, but within the need of any of these units, you have various stages. So in part, one unit will have 2 stages, so depending on the need or how hot it is outside, they'll turn on and run. In our case, we had to run 1 stage, no matter how hot it was, continuously. So it was just energy wasting cycle for us. Now that we have 2 units, one that can be mostly redundant, we can run as needed what we need for. But it's pretty much how everything we try to run in a small case. Anybody else? Thank you.
Okay, next up we have the summer technology update. I will hand that over to
Thank you, and good evening. I'm excited to be here tonight to talk about the technology team's summer projects. Throughout my presentation, I'll share how the technology team has supported the district's mission of empowering learners, creating equity, and cultivating community. We've also done a lot to support the district values. Specifically, I'd like to highlight the collaboration that supports decision-making built on consensus. Several of the projects that we completed came out of planning and design team recommendations, and so that's something that we really value here. All of these projects also relate to the strategic plan goal based on technology, which focuses on that technology plan and ensuring technology-rich learning environments. So, like the operations and maintenance team, there's lots of things that we do yearly, and this is just a list of some of the things, including preparing student Chromebooks, supporting online registration, and completing state reporting. This summer, one of the big projects that the team worked on was the certified staff laptop refresh. So we had 150 staff members come visit the ISC, which is where it's a cute little house outside of GMS where the technology department is housed. Since the start of the school year, we've worked to swap out everybody else's device, and we're wrapping that up this week. Teachers have been excited about the speed of those new devices and a fresh new start, and we've gotten lots of positive feedback about those. Additionally, we replaced the last of our end-of-life network switches. So that project was funded through E-rate. We used the last of our remaining E-rate funds for the 2020-2025 E-rate cycle to replace 18 switches. And I'm excited to share that all of our switches are supported right now, so that's a good place to be. Part of the referendum was implementing safety and security updates. As you'll remember, the Safety and Security Committee came and presented to the board last spring. They spent some time evaluating a bunch of different emergency management systems to meet part of that referendum goal. And ultimately, they recommended Raptor's emergency management system to implement, which you guys approved, I think it was in June. So my team worked to implement that new system. That included the installation of gateways and beacons you'll see them as you walk through the hallways. That helps when a staff member presses their emergency badge, which you'll also see all of us wearing now. It helps us locate where the emergency is happening throughout the building. So that's what the physical installation is. There was also a lot of work to get the data that was required for being able to account for students and staff during an emergency, getting that data sharing between Raptor, and getting all those badges set up. So we are already starting to use this system. Schools have started to use it during their drills. And all of the administrators at the table can attest to that is working. And it lets you know it's working, so that's working. Additionally, part of the Raptor umbrella is dismissal safe, and so we implemented that this summer. As parents, you might have remembered Driveline being used at some of our buildings. This is a replacement for that. It manages student pickups at our K-4 buildings and Park Campus, and ensures that students are getting to their families and everyone is where they're supposed to be safely. Additionally, we implemented Incident IQ, which is our new ticketing and inventory system. We did that along with the O&M department. That is their ticketing system as well. As part of that work, we performed an inventory check to make sure that we knew exactly what we had, where it was, before we put it into that new inventory system. It was a lot of meetings to get the system set exactly the way we want. But I'm excited to share that in the first 2 weeks, we've completed over 1,000 tickets. That is a lot of tickets. Thanks, Daryl. Those tickets range all kinds of things. It can be user management. It could be an issue with a student Chromebook, an issue with a display, network, phone. Just really, I need help with the technology that's available to me and my students. And that number of tickets, I would say, isn't unusual for this time of year. It's a busy time as everyone comes back. They need to make sure everything's ready for the start of the year. This new system, though, kind of gave us a window and allowed us to track those tickets and make sure everything was getting addressed. And it also made it easier to communicate with staff. So we've gotten positive feedback from staff about the ticketing system. And one thing that's really nice about it is that it allows staff to say, hey, kind of like rate your service, I'm gonna say, but it lets them give us feedback on how we did in meeting their needs, and we've gotten nothing but 5-star reviews. Not to brag, but it's pretty exciting. The team also supported some of the teaching and learning initiatives, including setting up the new integration with our math resources, and updating standards based on work that the standards-based grading and reporting professional development team and then the teachers at the grade levels did for those report cards. And that is it. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to
That's a lot. Thank you
answer
very
those.
much. Does the board have any questions, comments? No? Yep.
I just had a comment I wanted to make. Board, I hope you can see how much work happens in the summer in a school district, and particularly in these two departments. And Amanda, you're gonna kill me, but I'm gonna make public a little bit about a conversation you and I just had. Yeah, I know, she's gonna turn red. Well, we were talking about Raptor, and I had made the comment about how smoothly that rollout has gone, and she looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, right, yeah. And I said, well, because from the outside looking in, it has gone very smoothly. We know the enormous amount of work that you've had to do and your teammates have had to do in order to make that happen. And by the way, it's required many people to think through changes in practice. And so thank you to everyone who has participated in bringing an even safer environment for our students and staff. And thank you.
Yes, both teams, yes. Thank you very much to both teams for sharing those updates that show how important it is what's done over the summer. Thank you very much. We have no new business for this evening, so I'm going to grace everybody with a short meeting tonight. We do have topics for future agenda items.
We do. September 17th, we'll start, with a policy committee meeting. So I do want to ask our policy committee members, hopefully you've had a chance to review the stack of policies that we're going to be talking about later in the month. And you will have noticed they are all 5-year reviews. Most of them do not have a word of change. Some of them have very slight changes, things like, what was I looking at? One of them had the word webmaster, and that was changed to, I don't remember, web administrator, that kind of thing. So I wanted to ask the policy committee, do you want the meeting to start at 5 with the board meeting starting at 6? Or do you want it to start at 5:30 thinking that there will be less conversation?
I'm going to jump in. I would like to use this time where there's not a lot of compliance issues to talk about to create space to have conversation that leads us beyond compliance. So we've got a lot of transitions coming up, and I think it might serve us well to take a look at a variety of different policies, not necessarily the ones on our list, but if we could choose one policy area and think about, so I'm thinking about changes in food service, and maybe we want to look at some of the relevant policies for food service and see, are we getting the results that those policies are designed for? So I would love to at least have about 15, 20 minutes. So if we started at 5:10 or something like that, that would be fantastic if we could do that.
I'm fine with that. I would just want to know in advance what are the policies and what's the conversation we want to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yep. And I'd like 5:15 maybe.
Split the difference, 5:15.
15.
Yes?
Does that work?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Policy committee meeting is going to start at 5:15. Yeah, anyone, yes, certainly. And then, wait a minute, I lost my notes. Okay. Then so those policies will come to the board also at the regular board meeting at 6 o'clock, but the rest of that meeting will be a finance committee meeting. And so all of these things will happen at that meeting. We do have folks coming from WOLD to give an update. Then we have a financing update from Raymond James. Then we'll have I think first we'll have a public hearing, right? First we'll have a not in order here, public hearing for the budget. We'll have a proposed timeline for the 2025 levy. And also kind of tagging in, because it's a matter of timing. So Dr. Wolk will bring our EIS, IMRF reports that need approval. So that will happen all on September 17th. October 15th, we have students coming from GMS. So we'll have our Way of the Panther students coming to talk with us and then to sit at the table. We'll do a final review of those policy updates. Then we have WOLD coming back to talk very specifically about the design work that we've been doing. And we're intending to bring approval for the CM that Mr. Wildman was talking about. And then just zooming on a little bit later in the year, we have the Park Campus Wolves coming on November 5th. So our upper grade students coming and talking with us from Park and sitting at the table. November 19th will again be a policy committee meeting, and that will be about the audit. And all I can tell you right now about December 17th is we're expecting that you're approving a new superintendent contract on December 17th. And then it'll be January, and we'll talk about that when we get closer. Okay.
And is 1119 finance or policy?
I don't know what I said. Finance.
It's finance. Okay.
Did I say finance? Okay. Thank you. Finance. That's a lot of policy. That's a lot of policy. So, finance again on November 19th. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Glickman. Do we have any additional public comments signed up? No? Okay. We do have a closed session tonight, so I need a motion to approve the board to go into closed session in accordance with the following statutes. Public Act 5 Illinois CS 120/2, paragraph C1. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, and Public Act 5 Illinois CS 120/2, paragraph C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. The board does not expect to have any additional business coming out of the closed session, so we will adjourn directly from there. I need a motion to approve our entry into closed session. Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Hune,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Braden. Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. That was a nice short meeting for everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.